Hi, my name is Miss Jones and I teach elementary school math. Welcome to my channel, Miss Math Jones. Today we're going to be working on our third grade Eureka Module 4, Lesson 11 homework. The objective for the homework is to find areas by decomposing into rectangles, that means breaking them apart into rectangles, or completing composite figures to form rectangles. Let's get started. Number 1 says find the area of each of the following figures. All figures are made up of rectangles. So this figure is composed or made up of two rectangles. So let's find the area of each rectangle and then add the two areas together to get the total of this figure. All right, so first I would shade in this top rectangle, maybe with the color. I chose blue. And I'm going to find the area of this top rectangle. So I see that the length is 8 and the width is 6. So that means that my equation to find the area for this first rectangle is 8 times 6. And 8 times 6 is 48. So I'm going to label it 8 times 6 equals 48. So it'd be good if you shade it in and you do the same. Label it 8 times 6 equals 48. That's just one of the rectangles that this figure is made of. This figure is made of two rectangles. So we found the area for the first one. Now we have to find the area for the second one, which is this one down here. All right, now I see that the length is 3, but I don't see the width. Now, there are some clues on this page that gives me the width, though, so look at it. At the very top, it shows that the rectangle that we first looked at, the width was 6 feet, but they added another 3 feet to show us that the width for the rectangle at the bottom, right, is actually the 6 feet plus 3 more feet. Well, what's 6 plus 3? If you said 9, you're absolutely correct. So that means that the measurement for this rectangle at the bottom is a 3 by 9, or we use the equation 3 times 9. And what's 3 times 9? That's right. If you said 27, you're absolutely correct. So that means that the first rectangle has an area of 48, and the second rectangle has an area of 27. And to find the total area for this shape that's put together, we have to add 48 plus 27. So let's go ahead and line up our numbers vertically so that we can figure out what 48 plus 27 is. Now we're going to start in the ones place. What's 8 plus 7? If you said 15, you're absolutely correct. So I put my 5 in my ones place, and I put my 1 over my tens place. All right, now I can add up the numbers that are in my tens place. 1 plus 4 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7. So that means that the total area for this figure is 75 feet. Now you may want to go ahead and pause your video so that you can write down all of these measurements and all of this information for letter A. All right, let's take a look at letter B. Now, this particular figure is made up of 3 rectangles. Do you see them? If not, I'm going to show you as we go along. So let's look at the first rectangle. There it is. Now, if you didn't see it, go ahead and draw your line across, right? And then shade it in. Now, the equation to find the area for this rectangle is 5 times 8. And what's 5 times 8? If you said 40, you are absolutely correct. 5 times 8, or 8 times 5, equals 40. Now that's the first rectangle. I promised you 3. Do you see the other 2? You should. That's the second one. Now I see a length of 3 and a width of 2. You should see that also. So that means the equation to find the area for this rectangle is 3 times 2. What's 3 times 2? That's 6. You are absolutely correct. Now there's one more rectangle. You should see it now. There it is. So I know you're probably like, well, Miss Jones, I see the width is 4, but what's the length? Well, look at the rectangle next to it. They're the same length, right? So that means that the length of this rectangle has to be 3 also. So that means that the equation for the area for this last rectangle should be 4 times 3, or 3 times 4, which is 12. So now it's like, okay, we have 3 areas, and we have to put them together to get the total area of this figure. So we have to add 40 plus 12 plus 6. I like to add the bigger numbers first. So let's line our numbers up vertically so that we can go ahead and add. So we have 40 plus 12. Well, that should be easy to solve. What's 0 plus 2? That's right, it's 2. And what's 4 plus 1? That's right, it's 5. All right, so we're not finished because we have to add 40 plus 12 plus 6. We added 40 plus 12. Now we have to add 6. So right now I have an answer of 52, but I have to add 6 more to that. All right, so what's 2 plus 6? And what's 5 plus 0? 5. So that means that the area of the 3 rectangles that are combined, because it's 3 rectangles combined this time, is 66 inches. Now, if you need to pause your video to go ahead and get those measurements written down on your paper, make sure everything's written down correctly, go ahead and do that now. All right, this is the last question of our homework. This is number 2, and it seems like a lot because it kind of is. You have to really think about it. But I'll guide you through it. It's okay. Number 2 says the figure below shows a small rectangle cut out of a big rectangle. All right, so the big rectangle is the gray one, right? The small rectangle is the white one. Now they give us the length and the width of the big rectangle, 7 feet by 10 feet, 7 times 10. But what they don't give us are the measurements of the small rectangle, but we can use the information that's here to figure it out. Let's go ahead and get started. So I know that the width, right, of the big rectangle is 10 feet. I need to figure out the width of the little rectangle. So I can do that by imagining a bunch of rectangles to figure out what's missing. And I'll show you what I mean. All right, so first, I imagine there's a rectangle here. And see how it says 3 feet wide there? So that means if that section is 3 feet wide, this section is 3 feet wide. All right. Now I see another rectangle, a little one, right there. And that rectangle is 2 feet wide. So if this rectangle is 2 feet wide, then this little section is 2 feet wide, which means that I can figure out how wide that white rectangle is. I can. So the 2 rectangles I have are 3 feet and 2 feet, right? So what's 3 plus 2? 3 plus 2 is 5. And if that whole thing is 10 feet, then I could say 10 minus 5 is 5. Now I can check my math because if I add 3 feet plus 5 feet plus 2 feet, I should get 10 feet. So I figured out the width of my white rectangle. It's 5 feet. Now we need to figure out the length of that white rectangle. And we can basically use the same method. We can use the information that they gave us for those little rectangles to figure out the length of the white one. And I'll show you what I mean. So the length of the whole thing is 7 feet, right? This little section is 2 feet. So if this little section is 2 feet, then this section is 2 feet because it's the same section. And we do the same thing on the bottom. If this little section is 2 feet, then this little section across from it is also 2 feet. So that means all I'm missing is the little piece in the middle. Well, that's easy to figure out, right? Because if I have 2 feet plus 2 feet, that's 4 feet. And if the whole thing is 7 feet, then what's missing? You said 3 feet. You're absolutely right. And you can check your math. If you add 2 feet plus 3 feet, which is 5 feet, plus 2 more feet, that's 7 feet. So that means that the length of the white rectangle is 3 feet. Well, now I have my measurements for both. Now I have it for both. Now I can go ahead and start solving. So letter A says label the side lengths of the unshaded region. So we're going to go ahead and write this out. The area of the big gray square, if it was completely shaded in, would be 7 times 10 equals 70. The area of the white square that's cut out of the gray square is 3 times 5 equals 15. To find the actual area that is gray, you subtract 70 minus 15. So let's go ahead and line our numbers up vertically and subtract. 70 minus 15. All right, so we always start with the ones place. What's 0 minus 5? Do that. So I'm going to go next door to my neighbor in the 10th place. And that 7 is going to turn into a 6. And this 0 is going to turn into a 10. Now I can subtract. Well, what's 10 minus 5? That's right, it's 5. And what's 6 minus 1? That's correct, it's 5. So that means that the area of the shaded region is 55 feet. Now you definitely are going to want to pause to make sure you have everything written down because this question was quite a lot. But we will be seeing more practice with this. Lesson 11 homework is finally complete. Congratulations. As always, I hope this video helped you complete your homework quickly and correctly. And I hoped it helped to explain how to complete the process of finding the area of shapes when there are more than one shape included in a figure. Now, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will definitely see you next time. Bye.